Yo, what's going on, everyone? You know what time it is. It is time for True Story, greatest podcast in the world. And you know who this is. It is the dad bod god, the truth, the guy that spits facts like snakes spit venom, baby. And we're about to get into it with Big Brodie Marshall. So sit back, relax, pour yourself a cold one, crack yourself a stiff one, and roll yourself a green one, because this is going to be an amazing conversation. And it's time to go now. Really? Like, baby face and the heels were going over. Dude, I thought he broke his neck. The greatest podcast in the world. Yeah, greatest podcast in the world, True Story. And I'm here with one of my favorite people in the entire world. And I say that about every guest I have on, but this time I actually mean it. The one, the only, Big Brodie Marshall. What is going on, brother?
G'day, Piers. How are you, mate? Thank you for having me on again, my friend. Thank you very much. Bloody lovely of you.
Mate, I'm excited to have you on, bro. It's been a while, man. And the first conversation we had was absolutely fire. I'm surprised it's taken us this long to get a part two done.
Yeah, I really enjoyed it. Like, it was just good, just talking some truths. So I don't know whether that's going to happen today, but we'll see how we go. Hopefully, I don't spit too much and fire up too much, but we'll see how we go.
Hey, man, that's what True Story is all about, bro. But yeah,
absolutely,
we're definitely going to get into it, man. But dude, I was actually surprised. Like, I occasionally flick through TikTok, and and the other week I come across this guy on TikTok, and I'm like I was like scrolling, I'm like, wait, is that him? Is that Brodie Marshall? I'm like, wait a second. And I'm like, I was sitting there, I heard the distinct voice. I'm going, yeah, that's him. And I'm like, I got to chuck a comment in here. But man, you're going hard on TikTok, bro, man. You're going after those thirsty TikTok milfs, bro. I see you there, bro.
I did a page. I've still got a page, obviously, where I just did. So I'm 45 years old. So the page is actually called Fit After 40. So I was just doing some of my gym stuff and just talking about the gym and as you get older, how much harder fitness is to maintain and just things that I do to keep somewhat fit. And then I got enough followers and I thought one day, I'll just give this live thing a go and see how it goes. And I was just in my kitchen and I was cooking and I had some jazz on in the background because that's what I listen to when I'm home. So it just chills me out. I expected maybe one or two viewers, if that. I thought no one's going to watch this shit. So I'll just give it a go and see what happens. And it went mental. So it just went nuts. So and now I've got this weird following. All I do is sit in my kitchen, cook, and just talk shit. And it's sort of taken off in a weird way. So, and my DMs are quite funny. So I don't read them all. I don't reply to them all. But I think there's a market for an older fit dude cooking stuff and listening to jazz. So who knew?
Dude, well, that was the thing. As soon as I went in, I'm like threw a comment in. There's like all these women are just like, I'm sitting there going, look at this motherfucker, bro. Like straight out, man. You just like tap it away, man. You untapped TikTok women just throwing themselves at you.
It's pretty funny and it's super humbling. Everyone's so bloody lovely. Like everyone that you get your trolls with everything. So, but everyone's been super lovely on there. It's really fun. I've only done it for like not very long at all, so I'm very new to it. But I'm enjoying it. One of my mates. He is a mate, but a bloke I used to work with was in the 2020 Big Brother. And he actually was like, "Hey man, like you're taking off. Here's some tips just to roll through with it." So I'm taking his advice, and we'll just see what happens, mate. We'll just see what happens.
It's crazy though. Like TikTok is one of those platforms where it can either like follow over into other like social media platforms, but for the most part, like TikTok, like you'll go to someone's page and they'll have like 300,000 followers, right? And then you go to their YouTube or their Instagram and they've got like 1,000 or like 50. You know what I mean? Like it's just wild that the crossover just really isn't there for TikTok. But some people it is. Like you see people like the Liver King, Paulie, what's his name? Not Paulie Shaw. He lives in Bali and he's like this, like he's like one of those food creators or health creators.
Okay. Yep.
And yeah, like I've had him on the podcast here before, and it's like those guys like really can get, because I think they eat a lot of fucked up shit, right? Like eating liver and testicles, and like I've
Yeah,
seen this
yeah,
guy cutting
yeah.
up a testicle and shit, and just like feeding it to his like 1-year-old son. I'm like, that's nuts. I'm not eating that.
Fuck that. No, that's not my thing. I cook real food. So
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
but yeah, no, it's fun, man. It's something different. I honestly, I thought TikTok was like, once again, I just did it for fun because I did Twitch for a while, which was just gaming. But
Yeah.
yeah, jumped on TikTok, and I thought it was just like more of a younger person's thing. I thought I'm an ancient dude on here, so I don't think it'll do anything. But it's gone really well, mate. Gone really well. Something that surprised me a lot. So
Oh,
so
100%, man.
and thanks for jumping in. I have seen you jump in and
Yeah,
comment.
no,
So
like, yeah, being the only male in the comments, I was like, all right. I'm like, I'm just saying hi to my buddy. It was like these women are getting angry. Stop talking. We're talking to him now. And I'm like, oh, Jesus.
oh shit! No, it is pretty funny. It is pretty
It
funny.
is, man.
So
So what's been
yeah,
happening with you, man? How's life been?
life is good. Life is good. I've got an awesome job. I love my work, so working hard. But I'm now, or still, we spoke last time, still doing commentary with Right City Wrestling. So I love that. Love it. So actually did so I normally do it with Angus and Paul, who both help commentate. So Paul is he jumps from ring announcing to commentary, so he goes back and forth. Do it with Angus as well. He's an absolute wizard, just a guy that he's like, I don't know, he's like a Mike Tenay, right? Like he knows everything about that's happened in Riot City for the last 20 odd years. So he's an absolute dictionary. Um, and yeah, and then there's myself, who is the rookie in the group that really doesn't know shit from clay and just says what he thinks. So
But
there's a lot of me just
are you one of those wrestlers though? Like I've done a lot of commentary, and when you do commentary with wrestlers, I almost feel like it's a point that they wanted to prove that they can. Oh, I know what this is called. You know what I mean? Like, there's like because I don't know the name of every move, and I don't pretend to know. I don't make a name up to it, but like you know, I
yep.
mean, oh, big impact there, but you know, that was a big European uppercut Enziguri Uranagi, and I'm like, okay, bro, like I get it, you're smart.
Yeah. No, definitely not. I leave that to Angus as well, because he knows, and he knows not just the American name of it, he knows the Japanese name of it too. So he flips between the two, and I just go, oh yeah, sure, no, awesome. I look like a big boot to me, but it's a Hideko Mukura. I'm just going to end up being racist here, but no, he just flows with it. He knows wrestling like the back of his hand. So I am very happy to take his lead and fully admit that I don't know everything. I just used to hit the moves, mate. I don't don't need to call
Oh,
them.
exactly. Yeah, I'm going to hit you that big thing with the hands on your throat, and you go up, and then you
Yeah.
take the up.
And
Yeah,
again, yeah. Then we'll go 1, 2, 3. I go home.
yeah, exactly. Big Brodie over strong.
Yeah, but no, it's really good. It's a good dynamic. And then last show, Angus actually had COVID, and Paul was doing the ring announcing. So
Yeah,
Jimmy C, James, well, I won't put his shoot name up here, but Jimmy C was on commentary with me, and that was friggin' hilarious. There's one part in the last RCW, I can't remember what we called it. He says something about a wrestler, and I lose it for a good bloody 15 minutes. I almost call nothing for the rest of the match, because I had to take my headset off, and I was just laughing so hard, and it got him laughing too. So the commentary on that match is pretty average, but it was really good fun. Just a natural. He's he's a radio DJ as well, so
yeah,
he's got
perfect. He
that.
gets
He
it.
knows all the cadence, timing, and his voice is sensational, and just a funny dude, which helps a lot too. So, yep.
That's the thing, Aussie, like wrestling commentary. I feel like people don't really understand that a bad commentary team could make a good show dog shit very quickly. You know what I mean? Like the quality of it, like good commentators that can go in there, know what their job is to do, is to, add that little bit of extra sizzle to the steak. Don't take the shine away. This is what you need. And there's so much process that goes into being a good commentator, and things that you need to know, that when I actually go back and listen to some commentary and I go, oh no, don't be talking now. Let the ring announcer do it. No, the rest, you know what I mean? Like just those little things that I suppose most people don't really get. And when you get pushed into that, if you're not really told, you're not going to know.
Well, 100%. It's so much harder than I thought it would be too. And I've just been learning off the other two guys. I've just been listening and learning and developing like that. Like I said, I'm very much the rookie out of this group. Even though I've been around with the company for longer, that means shit when you come to doing this.
Sure.
But it is harder than what I think people would initially think it is. You're just talking, right? But it's timing, like you're saying. You don't want to talk over each other. You want to make sure that the ring announcers get their stuff out. Different things happen for different spots. You're also listening to what the other person's saying, concentrating on what's happening in the ring, and thinking about what you're trying to say at the same time. So I know that probably sounds simple to a lot of people, but it's, once again, it's harder than I think people think it is, and to try and say the right things. And I trip over my tongue a lot.
Yeah.
So I'll be talking at some point, and Angus knows now that I'll stop talking because I can't fucking think of what I was going to say, and he just jumps in and finishes off what we were going with. So it's good. It's good fun. It's good fun.
Yeah.
I do like it, but it is harder than what I first thought it would be.
But it's also like when you have someone who is also good at commentary as well, working with you, you can then work off. Like I've worked
Absolutely.
with some really good people like Cam Smith and Ed Locke, for example, and then you work with some people that aren't so good, and it's like no, don't say that. Like, yeah, I had one show where this guy was like, I was working heel color, and I've said something like just out heel color does, like, see the good in what the bad guys are doing.
Yep.
I've just made this outlandish statement, and the play-by-play guy who goes, I agree with you, Piers. And my face is like, and I'm just going, huh? and I think I actually said, shut up, idiot. Because I was trying to take away from the fact that he had just said that, and I've just like healed it up even more. And he's like, why'd you call me an idiot for? I'm like, you don't agree with me. Like, you got to go, what? I was like, it's like Jerry Lawler and JR. Like, oh my God, like, are you serious, King? Like, you've got to sort of understand that dynamic and that sort of storytelling to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And also, like it's hard when, so being an ex-wrestler, one, what happens in the ring. One, when the fuck ups are happening. So when the botches are going on. Also, what that wrestler's feeling when a botch happens. So, or what the other person is, and you can see people start to scramble to try and fix stuff every now and then. Not that we ever botch at RCW, never. It does. but when botches happen, it's just on commentary. I sometimes have to take my headphones off because I'm like, fucking hell, like I get upset for them. So it's even that dynamic is a bit weird and different, being from where I've been to watching them, and trying not to get that out in commentary. I need to try and keep it all, like, because I'm like, oh, you poor fucking bastard, like I feel you right now, like that sort of shit. So yeah,
it is. It's like that. But you know what? You mentioned botches and stuff, right? Have you seen that thing with Chris Jericho when he's like, I hate the fucking word botch. Like, it's the most ridiculous fucking thing. What's like, we don't bot. Like, what do you think about that? Like, when fans are calling out a botch, right?
Good question. Really good question. Botches happen. They do. There is things as botches because we're essentially we're dancing, right? Like we're violently dancing. So you got a partner, and if things fuck up, sometimes botches happen and the crowd don't know. So the crowd have no fucking idea of what's happened, and it's easy to cover, and that's totally fine. You got smart marks who think they know what goes on with a lot of shit. And even with local indie Aussie wrestling, I'm going to go back one step. I used to watch wrestling with wrestlers. So I used to watch WrestleMania with a group of wrestlers, all this sort of stuff.
Yeah.
I can't fucking do that anymore because some of the shit that comes out of wrestlers' mouths of what they think's going on in the ring, or Shawn Michaels botched this spot. I'm like, how the fuck do you know, champion? Like everything looks smooth and clean, or oh, that kick was shit, or fucking whatever. I'm like, they're in the WWE. We're here in watching this. They're the ones living it. They know what they're doing. Like they're not there by chance. They're fucking talented cunts. And can I drop that here? Sorry.
You can go whatever you want. Come on, man, it's me, bro.
Like they've got way more talent than, like, they're the success. We're the ones wanting to get there. Like, just settle the fuck down, enjoy the show. So, but coming back to even when I will say that in most crowds where I've seen botches happen in live indie wrestling, they're pretty forgiving. So, and I'm talking live Aussie wrestling, so where I've been a part of it, they get that it's happened. There'll be like a couple of groans or a bit like, oh, or like they knew that wasn't meant to happen, but then next move happens and it's all over. So haven't really had. I've had fans come up to me, at the end and go, "Oh, that match where Fred botched or Michael botched or whoever the fuck it was," and you're like, "Oh yeah, cool." Like I don't acknowledge it. Like I'm like, oh, I didn't see that or fucking whatever, or I didn't take it that way. But people think they know more than what they do. It's always
well, that's the thing. It's like when fans come up and say that, it's like you got to know something. Like I had a fan comment on something of a post that I made. I can't remember what it was, and it was something about I don't know what. And this fan commented about. He goes, "Oh yeah, I love how Japanese have the dojo young boy system. I think that's really really great." And part of me was like, "Tell me about your time in Japan." You know what I mean?
100%. Yeah.
But you know what I mean? But again, it's like I find myself stopping at those sort of situations. It's like, do I really want to fucking get into this conversation with like it's not important in the grand scheme of things. Like, but it's like so many times I want to sit there and go, really, motherfucker? Like, tell me about your time in the ring and tell me what you think. And bro, like,
100%.
I even had Homicide on recently. We spoke about fans that think that they like, since you brought it up, like fans that, oh yeah, this and that, blah, blah. He's like, this wrestling sucks or this wrestling sucks. And Homicide said, he goes, some people need to shut the fuck up. He goes, if you haven't got in there and done it and you haven't done it at a certain level, then you just need to shut the fuck. Like even me, I'm on shows, but I wouldn't go up to someone, or even if I was visiting RCW, and I wouldn't go up to like one of your green guys or one of your trainees who's coming through and go, hey man, you could have done that super kick a little bit better. Or you could have. That's not because what the fuck would I know? I could help with maybe a promo or character or that, but I'm going to leave that to the guys that actually train you or someone who is actually trained who can go, this is what you can do better. And it's the same. I have people going, hey man, can you give me some advice after my match? I'm like, no, I can give you an opinion, but I can't give you a bit of advice that's going to help you be a better in-ring performer. I just can't because I'm not qualified.
Mate, that's some of the smartest shit I've heard someone that's never been in the ring before say. So I've said this, I don't know if I've said this on this podcast, I know I've said it on Toddy's. Some of the worst people in wrestling are people that in and even in Australian wrestling are the most opinionated ones that have never stepped foot in the ring. And it's just like, fuck, get in here and live it. Like, get your boots on, get in, let's go fucking 20 minutes in front of a crowd and we'll call some of it on the fly and let's just see how you go. So it's just like, fuck, mate, live it first, then you can comment. And like that's really respectful of yourself, because there's far too many that don't know. And look, fans are fans, right? Fans are allowed to say what they fucking like. That's fine. But when you're in wrestling, it's pretty fucking funny. The one, I think I brought this up last time. The one thing that I found so hilarious when I did the World Series tour, the one in 2017. And we went to Queensland, and Austin Aries cut his eyebrow on the ring. So, and he bled. He went back and he chewed out the promoter about the ring safety and all this sort of stuff. For years after that, because once again, I was working for Right City Wrestling. I was working for Right City Wrestling, yes, but I was working with Adrian for World Series. I don't do it anymore, but I used to. Yeah. So for years, it would be, oh, they don't come to Brisbane because of the Austin Aries incident. That was never fucking the case, ever. There was that incident was done.
The Austin Aries incident was something that could happen anywhere in the world.
Absolutely. And we're not going to come back to a city because a wrestler cut his eye and chewed out a promoter. That's not it. If we were going to do that, we'd come back and we'd get a different promoter and do whatever, if that was the case, if that was the issue, which it wasn't. It was a null and void point. Like, okay, Aries turned it into a bit more than what it needed to be. But in saying that, once we left Queensland, that was done for us. I was like, okay, fucking whatever. The reason why we didn't do Brisbane is because we didn't sell the show out at the Tivoli, and the cost to hire the halls there is bloody expensive. Plus, flying to Queensland isn't cheap when we can do Sydney and Melbourne, where we know we're going to sell out. And the only reason like Adelaide's getting some now, as in Adelaide's a bit of a staple now, but only because it's Adrian's hometown, right? So, and I know that he's doing a wider tour. This one, and he did the last one as well. Went to Perth and whatnot. That's all good, but the reason why we didn't go to Queensland for so long was just because of the fucking cost, and we didn't know whether we were going to sell the venue out, which we absolutely had to if we wanted to make money. Because running a wrestling promotion like that is fucking expensive, and you need to make sure you get your money back. So,
100%, especially when you're bringing in 7, 8 internationals, and they, you know what I mean? Like you kind of topping the card up with Australian talent, which is great because it gives that Australian talent exposure and opportunity to work with people that have done this as at a full-time living.
Yep.
But you know, I've had interactions with Adrian, and you know, I think it was last year he hit me up to do the Sydney leg part of
World Series.
World Series. Sorry, I just
No,
I
right.
was going to call it WWE. But, you know, hit me up the World Series. We couldn't come to terms financially, and you know, someone asked me that. I said it on an Instagram live or a podcast, and they're like, "Oh, he's this." I'm like, I'm not going to say anything bad about him. It's just like, dude, it's like you go for a job interview, right? And you go, they're offering you this, that doesn't work for you. That's what it was. That was what it was for me and him. I wished him best of luck for the tour. Didn't have anything negative to say because this is
business, right?
It's business, man. I think I'm worth this. He thought I was worth this. We couldn't agree. So we're like, okay, we'll just best of luck. Hopefully we can work together in the future.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. I mean, you know, it's like when you go for a job anywhere. If you want this and they're offering you this, are you going to take the job? Yes or no? So there's no hard feelings. It's just fucking business. And that's the thing with this, right? Like, you know, with World Series, it's a bit of a different beast because there is money involved. So, and like, I will give you credit. Well done for fucking sticking to your guns, mate. That's knowing your worth, and that's very, very admirable. So there's you know, I think in wrestling we're all especially Australians, we're all very guilty of going, oh, okay, yeah, no, we'll do it for $20 or $50 or whatever. And some of us just don't value our worth very much, I don't think. So I'm not going to talk about money in regards to figures, but being part of it, right? Like, I knew what the Americans were getting and I knew what the Aussies were getting. And some Aussies were, look, there's exposure, there's all that sort of stuff. That's great. But some of the Aussies, and look, some to their own detriment, were not getting great money, but also they weren't helping themselves to try and get great money either. They were sort of like working for not a hot dog and a handshake, but it wasn't amazing. And look, people are coming to see the American wrestlers. Totally get it. But I think now Australian wrestling and Australian wrestlers are worth more now than what we were 10 years ago. So, you know, look at the talent that's in the States at the moment. They're working for WWE. So even AEW. So, you know, there's Aussies are really, really shining at the moment. And we deserve our dues now, I think.
But the thing is, a lot of people, when we look at the business, how like the majority of wrestlers in this country, around the world, are like early mid-20s. You know what I mean? Like, you and I are like in early mid-40s. You know what I mean?
How dare you?
Early mid-30s. Early mid-30s.
No, I'm 45. I'm old. I get that. So,
but the thing is, you and I have that experience and probably that more confidence to turn around and in a business conversation say to someone like an Adrian Monero and go, nah, that doesn't work for me, mate. Like, no. And look, I look at wrestling. If I get a booking, or even if it's in the combat sports field, it's like, okay, they're offering me this, but what's the opportunity? What's the exposure? Is there anything else I can get out of it? Like, GCW wasn't a big payday for me, but I looked at it, I was like, I get to work with Ed Locke. He's done this for 20, 30 years. Okay, I've always wanted to work with Ed. Ed's always wanted to work with me. It's like the old school, new school of Australian commentators doing a show together. So to me, it was like, this is going to pop myself to work with him. So I was like, I will come and do that show for a lot cheaper because there's a other benefit there for me to have a bucket list thing ticked off. And that was it, you know, and I feel like a lot of people need to be able to weigh those options up.
And you're dead set right, and I think you're right as well with that. You've got that maturity level now, like, you know, when you and weighing up the exposure or the ability to work with someone or whatnot has to come into it, right? It certainly does. But I think Australian wrestling's gotten a lot better in regards to payments and all that sort of stuff than it was once again 10 years ago.
Sure.
10 years ago, depending on what your Fed's like and what the ability for them is to pay and all that sort of stuff. Because I don't want to. Wrestling is a very if you were really business minded, unless you get TV, wrestling is never going to make you really good money. It just won't. There's just too many expenses. So, and it's too sporadic in regards to, it's a monthly payoff really. So we still do it for the love. But it's getting a lot better, I think, in Aussie wrestling. So there's a lot more respect for the wrestlers, I think. And I think federations are handling it a lot better than what we did in the past. Also, there's not so much. Look, each state's different. I can only speak for South Australia, but there's also, we share talent a lot more now. We never used to. Back when I first started, there was no chance in the world that I would have worked for Wrestle Rampage, which was back then 0-1. There's no way, because I was Riot City Wrestling. There was no way that was going to happen. So, excuse me. Now we all it's great. Float around, do each other's shows. It's really.
I
really
hear
good.
a lot of people say, like, to make Australian wrestling, where Australian wrestlers could make a full-time living wrestling in Australia. Look, the time I've spent in the business and around it, I look at it and I don't see it as a possibility. And look, I'm not shitting on the talent. I'm not shitting on anyone. Sorry, but like, look at it. There's too much fucking nepotism in wrestling. There's too much bullshit. There's too much of this ridiculous small heat that just because your trainer has a problem with this person, you can't go work there. And you even said it before with Rampage and RCW for years having that sort of, rivalry, right? But there's no nepotism. I don't like, there's all this nepotism, sorry, but I don't see anyone going, right, who is going to draw me the most money? I don't care if I've had a beef with this person over the X amount of years. I know if I bring this person in and put them up against this person right here, this is going to be money. It's going to draw. But no, it's like, oh no, I'll bring my friends in. It's very much friends wrestling. It's not like it's not looked at. It's not treated. It's looked at like a business, but I don't think Australian wrestling is treated like a business. And that's what you.
Yeah, I agree and I disagree. The only exception to that rule that I think is happening right now is MCW. I think that they're going. It's like wrestlers are signing contracts there now, and they're selling out almost every show. Like they're big crowds too. So they've MCW's got new owners now, and they've taken it to the next level. And the owner, like the guys that work for MCW, like are very, very, or run MCW, I should say, have been in the wrestling game for a long, long time, and do it very, very well. So, so they're building their brand so well that they're hyping up their matches the right way, and it is getting across, and people are interested and invested in what's happening in their shows. I mean, before we jumped on air, we were talking about marketing and wrestling and how you were doing your promos and whatnot, and how it was resonating and getting through. And I just don't think there's enough of that in wrestling, or if it is, it's fucking cheesy. And unless you want to get more kids to your show, or it's a story that no one really gives two shits about. So MCW do a really good job of building a story, and look, they've got some money behind it to make it work properly. But their production is mint. PWA is the same. Their production is mint. But I think story wise and making stars, MCW is probably leading the way in Australia at the moment.
Yeah, I mean they're putting on incredible shows, like no doubt about it. And but I even feel like, as far as with PWA, I feel like PWA is fallen off a bit. And I'm not saying it to just to have heat or anything like that.
No.
Yeah. From an outsider looking in at it, I feel like they have fallen off in the last year.
Yeah, I don't disagree. It swings and roundabouts, right? It does this. So for years, Riot City Wrestling was one of the best, and we're still up there. I feel we are, but people just take it to the next level at certain stages and whatnot, and wrestling's as hot as I think I've ever seen it. When I say I've ever seen it, I lived through the Attitude Era and I lived through the '80s, so not that hot yet as those two, but
yeah, for sure.
it's getting hot again, right? Like it's getting big. So going back to your thing of you not seeing an Aussie a company, the only way I think that we would be able to do a full Australian wrestling company where people made money would have to be in one of the bigger states, so Melbourne or Sydney. And
Sure.
if you wanted to make money, it would have to be televised. And
Yeah.
I just don't know if there's a market strong enough in Australia for us to have an Aussie wrestling show. I just don't know if there is. So,
Well, if you look at Elimination Chamber, right, in Perth, they drew what, 70,000 people? Like, let's say 68,000, 70,000 people.
yep.
Could you imagine? Not even 10%, not even
Oh,
5%,
yeah.
but
Yeah.
1% of that audience, right?
Yeah. 100%. Yep.
Was turning, or maybe, let's say 5% of that audience was turning up to a regular wrestling show here in Australia.
Yeah. I mean, like 1%, 700 people rocking up to a show. That's pretty bloody good. Like that would be great. Like it's you're dead set right. You're dead set right. Like it's something that Australians. You've got your wrestling fans. I just don't know. I just don't know if there'd be a market here for Australia. And I mean, but imagine that we filled a 70,000 stadium, people stadium, and it was all Aussie wrestlers. How good would that be?
It'd be
Fuck,
great.
that'd be fucking insane.
It could be good, but it could happen. Well, maybe not 70,000, right? But maybe like 5, 10. Like, I think that's possible. Like Canberra Slam, they drew like 1,000 people in ACT.
Yeah, PCW in Melbourne, they did a basketball stadium. It was like 2,500 people. So it can be done. It's just like you were saying before. I think we're not a regulated sport, and there's a little bit too much ego with some stuff. And if you're in wrestling, right, you've got to have a bit of ego, I think, to be successful in it. So
You said that last time. You got to have a certain
yeah,
level of continue to be
you
successful.
do. You have to. Otherwise, you won't get over, and you won't get yourself over. That's probably a better way of saying it. You won't get yourself over. So you need to have a little bit of ego with what you do. So, but in saying that, not to the detriment of you're thinking you're better than everyone else, or you're in the business for yourself, or you're just trying to get yourself over. There's a storyline that's going to be happening with me coming up soon. I'm not saying this for any other reason than I'm just talking through my own personal experience.
Sure.
And the bookers are saying, "What do you want to do?" I said, "I'll do whatever you want me to do, guys. Like, I don't care. Like, when I say I don't care, I want to. I don't like. Don't dress me up in a chicken suit and bloody stick a plunger up my ass. Like, that's not going to happen. But I trust you guys enough. I want to do what's best for Riot City, and I just want to make sure that everything's bloody good, fun, and sweet, and it's worthwhile. Other than that, like, I don't care if I'm getting hit. I don't care if I'm losing stuff. I don't care whatever's going on. If it makes sense, let's do it. Let's do it. Like, ego out the window. Let's bloody. You can look. I mean, you got people like Zack Ryder who turned. He built himself through doing shit his own way. What was the other one that was Mrs. Stuntman? Damien
Sandow?
Yes, Damien Sandow. There we go.
Yeah.
Even him.
He's so talented. He's like,
oh, dude. He got the shittiest gimmick ever, right? Being a pretend stuntman to the Miz, who was doing Hollywood stuff, Hollywood Miz or whatever the fuck it was, and he turned that into pure gold, right? So it's just like, yep, I'll take it and just do the best with what you can with what you got. I've seen people talk about they're not going to lose to this guy, or they're not doing this part of a match, or they're not fucking doing whatever. It's like, fuck you, grow the fuck up. It's wrestling. We're a soap opera, right? We're a soap opera with violence. There's a story. It's not real life. These aren't real wins. These aren't real losses. I do think belts are more than props. Belts are props, right? But I think they've got more weight than a prop. So it is a prop because it's not a legit thing. But there's weight to belts, I think, if it's done properly. But yeah, but refusing to do stuff or to work someone or to not be in this storyline or whatever, fuck, just fucking do it and shut up. So
Yeah, like
once again,
that's,
unless you've
I'm the
got the
same way.
argument,
I'm
unless you've
the
got the
same way.
argument. Sorry.
No,
Unless
you're
you've
right.
got the argument of it not making sense or it's not fixing, and that is a discussion, not a flat out refusal that you're not going to do it. So, but
Like
sorry, go.
I know, like I've had people like promoters say, "Hey, look, we want to do this. Are you okay with this?" And I'm like, "Yeah, that's fine." I've said no to certain stuff.
Hmm.
You know what I mean? Only because I was like, or not even that I've said no. I've gone, I'm failing to see the logic. Can you help me get there?
That's
And they'll
it.
go, what do you mean? I was like, I don't understand why this would happen. So I'm not saying no to it. I'm just trying to understand the logic in it so then I can deliver it the best way possible for you.
Yep.
And then it's like, it's a conversation. You know what I mean? Sometimes you're dealing with people that's like, I want you to go out there and, drop your pants and moon the audience. Well, okay, why would I do that? You know
Yeah.
what I mean? Like,
Exactly. Yep.
okay, cool. I can understand why I would do that. That makes sense now. Or I don't really think that's the best thing. That's me taking my hairy, fat, white ass out in front of it. Whatever.
Hey,
But
mate,
like,
if it draws,
hey,
I
brother,
can do
ass over strong.
it. Get the ass over strong. Oh, that's
Yeah,
fucking gold.
but it's true,
But
man.
yeah,
You got
yeah,
to be able to be able to communicate. You can't just flat out no. Like if you're gonna say no, you got to have a you have to be able to have at least a reason to why, and also a suggestion on what you can do differently.
totally agree. Or where's this going? Like, where's this leading to? So it might be this show. You look like you're bearing your ass or whatever. But if it means something in the storyline to get to another level, then take the hit. Fucking let's move on and make it good for yourself. So, but once again, it's Australian wrestling, right? We
Right.
fucking we put sometimes. I get protect your art form, protect who you are, and all this sort of stuff. But we put too much emphasis on what it means in the scheme of things. Um, you know, for example, I know that anyone from the Adelaide Crows can walk down Rundle Mall in the city here, and people just fucking know who that person is, and he'll be taking pictures and signing autographs the whole walk down that mall, right?
Yeah,
Any number one Australian wrestler, except for maybe Rhea Ripley and stuff, who's in WWE.
for sure.
Any Aussie wrestler that's at an Aussie wrestler level could do the same thing and no one would bat an eyelid. It's not that important. It's not that important. We want it to be that important and we believe in what we're doing and we bloody love it to death. But gee whiz, some of the politics and the thought process that's involved with what is a scripted show
Yeah.
is ridiculous. So
Oh, I love hearing stuff like, oh, my character wouldn't go over to this.
yeah.
Oh,
Oh,
really? Your character doesn't go over? Okay, Goldberg.
yeah. No shit. Or like, no, I just can't see my character talking like that, and that's fine. You may have that in your head or whatever, but like reword it as in he may not say this, but what if we twisted it and we did it this way, or whatever. Or you're happy to do something, but let's mold it a bit differently, or can I offer this alternative, or whatever. Not just my character won't do that, so I'm not doing it. It's just like fucking mate, like trying to like I've been on the side of booking as well. So
Yeah,
booking is actually really hard, and unfortunately, this would happen a lot. I'm sure it's just not my where I work, but sometimes you book to the person's real life personality because you know that they're not going to do stuff or whatnot. So um, it's not real, guys. It's not real. I don't know if that's a revelation, but it's not fucking real.
but it's even when you see people that are like, they take it so like to the point where it's like there's literally 40 people in the crowd, right? There's like no one's really gonna give a fuck. Like this is not
Yep.
like some big storyline, national televised thing. And some people I think need to realize, hey man or person, this promoter needs this from you. Go out and do it, or just go, I'm busy that day, so I can't do the booking. If you're
Yeah,
that
yeah, yeah.
like,
If you're that, yeah,
but if you
100%.
ain't paying the bill, go out there and do the fucking what you're asked to, or don't accept the booking.
Yeah, 100%. And we're not weekly episodic shows. I mean, like Riot City Wrestling, it's roughly once a month, sometimes twice a month. Um, but you've got, let's say, 10% of the fans that come to every show. Other than that, it's like different crowds. People are coming in not understanding storylines, not understanding characters. They'll bring friends along. We're talking about this before as well. Like if you go and you put on a shit wrestling show that doesn't make sense because of, let's say, for your own ego, and look, there's shit bookers too, and there's shit feds. So I'm not going to pretend that there's not, because there is. But if you bring someone to that show that's never seen wrestling in Australia before, and they go to a shit fed or a shit show, either or, they're never going to come back and watch Australian wrestling again. They're going to go, this is fucking terrible. I knew it would be shit, which is probably what their thought is in the first place. Like, oh, fuck, I'll go see it, but I'm like, it's Aussie wrestling. It's probably going to be crap. And if they go see a shit fed or a shit show, that's how they're going to leave and just go, Aussie wrestling's fucking lame. So I said this on your show last time as well. Just gravitate towards good feds that are putting on good shit. That's my piece of advice.
But bro, when you look at it as well, like I've seen people, and I've had people talk about this before, is like if we regulate pro wrestling and we put in a commission for professional wrestling, and people are like, oh, it would cost X amount of money, it would do this. Yeah, but you know what? Then we're gonna have a lot less fucking feds, and the feds that we are gonna have are gonna be ones that can run at a logistical level and also at a correct level and have a standard. Like you could, like if I'm a young wrestler, right? I could go to RCW, train there for a week. Then I could go to, I don't know, fucking EPW, train there for a week, right? And brand spanking new, never taken a bump, never fucking wouldn't know an elbow from my arsehole, right? Go in there. And these two great companies that have phenomenal trainers that have proven track records, are going to have completely different syllabus. They're going to train you a completely different way. And then, you know what I mean? Then you come in, it's the same thing. I feel like there needs to be more of a consistency about it. And I get pro wrestling is subjective, all that stuff. There's all these different genres. That's great. And we can go into those genres, but I feel like when you go and learn the basics, there's certain things that really need to be covered off. And I don't know if I think every company who is training people needs to be on that level going, this is the bare minimum you need to know to be able to go in and safely wrestle someone, to take someone in your hands and take care of them. And I feel like there's a lot of places out there training people that I'm just like, fuck, there's people, that person's training someone. Fuck.
Yeah.
And it blows my mind.
You're 100% right. So, we used to do shows in South Australia. They still do them, but I used to wrestle on these shows in South Australia where it was a tribute show. So it'll be wrestlers from different, so us, Rampage, or this. We all went to this one place and we put a show on as a tribute thing, right?
Yeah.
It was me and Grim. We were standing there and we were talking to this wrestler, and he's like, I didn't know who he was, that's not uncommon. That's totally fine. I'm not totally into everyone in Adelaide wrestling. I know most people, but the people I need to know, I know. And this guy was talking to us, really nice dude. Yeah. And he's like, oh yeah, no, I'm training the young guys. I'm training them up for shows. And we're like, oh, okay, no worries. We sort of heard that. We just kept talking. And then I'm like, oh, so it's like, how long have you been wrestling for? He's like, oh, 2 months. And that's sort of word of a lie. And Maddie and I just looked at each other. It was like, what the fuck? You're training people and you've been wrestling for 2 months. How the fuck is that a thing? I trained for a year before I got on a show. So it was like absolutely insane.
So that blows my mind. That blows my mind. I actually remember working this one show that me and Vinny Vane, we went there to do it, and we had this guy who was trying to get this stable over last year with this wrestler named Banks. Now Banks is a local guy, not really a big known guy in the scene, works for like one fed and only does a show every month or every 2 months or whatever. So we were like, this guy's big, he looks like us, like the same sort of ethnicity background, this is going to work perfect. So, usually he wears a mask, but he's a big, good looking, Middle Eastern guy, big jack dude, at least 120, 130 kilos, 6'1", 6'2". And so we come in, the promoter goes, okay, Banks is going to wrestle, and he's going to wrestle this guy. And this guy's saying, Pierce, we want you to come out. We want you to do a promo, figure out what you want to say. and he's going to wrestle this guy. It's a complete squash, 90 seconds. Banks is going over, just annihilating this kid. He's getting no offense in. I'm like, okay, cool. I'm like, okay, blah, blah, blah. This will be the promo. Yep, you come out. Is there, oh, there's a lost kid in the crowd, blah, blah, blah. You go to step towards me. Banks steps in, boom, start the match. And he's like, yeah. And this kid goes, I don't think my character would really respond to that like that. Like, I don't. And I'm going, and I'm sitting there going, I'm like, really? And the promoter's hearing this shit. And he's like, oi, he goes, your character doesn't even fucking matter tonight. He goes, you're going in there. He's like, you could put a mask on if you're fucking that worried. Like, you're there to fucking get this big cunt over and to make him look like a fucking animal. That's what I want.
The job, right?
And it's like, and he said, I need Piers to be an arrogant fucking cocksucker that you got to try and hit, and he's going to be protecting Piers. Like, that's how it has to be. And the kid, it was even funny before that. It was like the kid comes up to Banks, and Banks is just sitting there, and the kid comes up. He's like, "Hey man, we're going to be working together." Banks, oh cool man, no, yeah, nice to meet you. Thank you for working me tonight. And he goes, maybe we should go have a chat to the promoter and find out who's going over. And Banks is just like, my eyes are just popped, and Banks no sold the shit. He's just like, yeah, bro, let's do that. He's like 5'10" compared, like, you know what I mean, like a stick compared to it. And just Banks is like, yeah, he's over there. Go for it.
Go chat. Yeah, find out who's going over, mate.
Let me know. Yeah. And it was just like, oh, and yeah, this kid was like, yeah, he was so devastated that he had to do the job. And I'm like, but that's what you were needed for. That's what you were asked to come in and do, is be an enhancement talent to get this big fucker over as a monster.
It's all a part of paying your dues, right? Like it's come in, do the storyline, do what you're told, fucking move on. I'm going to ask you this question because I I only see it through my sort of bubble. I'm not as wrestling centric as I used to be. So I'm still involved with wrestling, but I don't get involved with other scenes as much. But when I first started wrestling, the respect level to veterans seems to be different now than what it was. And I just want to say you're in a lot of different feds. You'd see a lot more than me. Still a lot of respect in but you know, back when I started, you went up and you shook people's hand. You introduced yourself first if you were the new guy, and you always every show, whatever, went up and shook the hands of the people that came before you. It doesn't seem to, maybe I'm old school in that mentality, but that seems to be maybe fading a little bit, or is that just me?
No, I think it is. I definitely think it is. And there's people that don't even go around and shake hands because they think they're too good. They think whatever reason that people aren't on their level. You know, I've seen, you know, someone like a Robbie Zuko, who is probably, you know, he's 46, 47, been doing this for a long time, probably one of the best, if not the best worker in the country, in my opinion.
Yep. Yeah, for sure.
You know, and I've seen him try and give people advice, and yeah, but and Zuko's such a nice guy. Like, he's never going to go, shut the fuck up, just listen to what I'm trying to help you. Fucking, but Zuko just will smile and go, okay. And just like, because he's just, I don't give a fuck. Like, I'm trying to help you, but if you want to fucking mouth off, all right, go fucking mark off over there. You know what I mean? Like, he doesn't. He's such a nice guy about it. Whereas, like, I'll sit there and I get upset. I'm like, just go, shut the fuck up, kid. Just like, this is a guy who was like wrestled Moxley years before he was John Moxley and Eli, all these guys. Like, fuck, man. Like, he's gone and lived in America. He's done all that. He has this wealth of knowledge, and he's giving you this stuff for free.
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, he's not doing seminars. He's not charging people. He's just trying to help. And there's a lot of people that just, they don't, I think that it comes down to, they think they're better, but I also think that they just, there's a lack of respect in the business. And I also think there's too many marks in the business that just want to be fanboys.
I agree with that last comment. I also think that it's not being taught as much anymore. So I think it's not, when I first started training, it was pretty much, well, how many bumps can you do? So we'd go out and bump our asses off. Now training is completely different. So I think it's evolved in some really good ways, but I do, mate. Once again, mate, I'm half Italian and I'm old, so I think that's that old bloody old school respect mentality that I do like. So, I mean, and look, I'm not saying anyone's disrespectful in Right City. It's not that at all. But, you know, when I first came in, it was, hey, go do this. And there's unwritten rules in the locker room, right? So that you, as a wrestler, whether you're from wrestling or understand wrestling or not, you need to adhere to. So who was I watching? I was watching someone talk about people backstage. Shit. And was it on this podcast? I think it was, I can't remember if it was one of
It might
your.
have been me. I shit on a lot of people.
No. Just I saw a podcast somewhere where someone was talking about who should be backstage, and the person was saying that the wrestlers should be backstage, but there should be no wives, no girlfriends. There should be no friends. There should be no. If you're not on the shows yet, you shouldn't be backstage. All this sort of stuff, and I agree with that 100%. It should be the wrestlers, or if it's a past wrestler or whatever, that's fine. But it should be. If you've earned your right to be there, it's a privilege to be backstage. It's not an expectation. So, and you know, as much as we all know that this is scripted stuff, there's still kayfabe, right? There still is, and there's still you are telling a story out there. So you want that story not to be blurred with, you know, oh, this is my mate. He just comes and, you know, if he's never watched the show before, he goes, oh, well, I just saw that guy talking to that guy before the match, and some of the like it. Once again, we know it's scripted or whatnot, but sometimes it takes it out of it. I mean, you look at Roman Reigns and Cody. I mean, they're probably chatting backstage and having an awesome time, but that was like legit fucking, and The Rock as well. That was like legit tension, you know. You know, they would have been backstage talking it through and all this sort of shit. But I think you still need to keep that kayfabe. So what I was getting at is like that locker room respect. I think still needs to be there too.
For sure. But you know what, you see like people that do go backstage, you know, at shows, like people have this thing like the backstage is some fucking really cool place to be. No, it's not. It's usually a fucking cram fucking spot that smells like fucking sweat, Lynx deodorant, and fucking makeup, and fucking God knows what else. And it's like, but the thing is, well, you mentioned like no wives and girlfriends, bro. Like, you know, I was smartened up from the business from guys that were in ECW, WCW, Ring of Honor, all these guys before I even got into the business. And Angel Medina told me, he's like, bro, I would never bring my wife backstage. He goes, for the simple reason is, he goes, in the era that I came up, if you bring a woman backstage around the boys, automatically they're going to go, she's a rat.
Yep. Yeah.
She's a ringer. And I know that term is probably not socially acceptable, whatever, like cancel me.
But it was what it was, right?
Yeah, and he said, he goes, he said in ECW, I would never bring my wife backstage. I would say, go and sit there. If you need me, you go and speak to that security guard and you say that you need me, he'll come and get me and I'll come out. And it's like, you don't do it. You never bring wives, girlfriends. I've actually done a show with one young green wrestler who had his girlfriend backstage doing his fucking face paint. And I wanted to get changed. And I was like, sorry, I went around. I'm like, hi, I'm Piers. Sorry, who are you? She's like, oh, I'm such and such. Okay. What are you doing on the show? Oh, I'm not. I'm his girlfriend. Oh, okay. Do you mind leaving? Well, but I'm his girlfriend. I'm doing his face paint. Yeah, that's great. And kid, can you go out and just do it out there?
Yeah.
And she's like, but why? And I'm like, well, I'd like to get changed. And she's like, oh, I don't mind. I said, well, I'm glad you don't mind, but
that's not about you, love.
I'm a married man, and I'm not taking my fucking pants off in front of another woman.
Like, not without getting any money anyway. You're doing that for.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm a married man. I'm not going to get naked get changed in front of another woman. That's you know what I mean? Like, that's disrespectful to my wife as well. Is like, and a comfort thing for me. Like, no, you're not. But even when it's other female wrestlers, I'm not going to. Oh, you are the workers. Okay, cool. Just
yeah. No, I get you.
It's like you don't. If you don't belong there, you don't belong there. Like, even for me, my first show that I was on, I went up to the promoter. I was like, hey, where should I get changed? And he's like, in the fucking locker room. I'm like, oh, I thought that was just for the workers. And he's like, you're on the show. I'm like, yeah, but I'm just a ring announcer. He's like, no, you're part of the crew. You can go back. And because that was the thing, is like, don't go backstage unless you're invited. So that was instilled in me before I even stepped foot into the show.
When I was a rookie, when we used to do shows at a place called the Australian Bowl. When I was a rookie, so this is before I was even on shows. So I'd work the bar and all that sort of stuff. I never went backstage unless invited. So I just feel that it's a sacred place for wrestlers, and somewhere where the general public, one, don't need to see, because there's a lot of stuff that goes on back there. In regards to working a show, how the mechanics of a show work, all that sort of stuff. But also, I think wrestlers need a space where wrestlers can talk wrestling and enjoy the show, get feedback from each other, all this stuff without any outside interference. So, and like you would have seen it backstage as well. When the show's on, people are going through their matches. They need to concentrate. They need to work out what's going on. And especially like if you're main eventing or anything like that, you're on at the end of the show and you're thinking about your match the whole bloody time. Maybe not the whole time, but you're going through stuff. You might think of something, or you might hear that someone's done some move that you had in your thing, your match. So you might go, oh, hey, they've just done this. Let's change this spot to this. So things like that. So that sort of needs to be, even though I'm talking about it now, but living it and having that concentration and just knowing that you're, as a wrestler, knowing that you're in a pack of people that understand what's going on, and they're there for the right reasons as well, is once again a sacred place for me, I think.
To be honest, I hate being in the fucking locker room after I've done whatever I need to do, because I'm like, fuck, it's just, like, what am I fucking doing? Like, I'm just, you know what I mean? In the same sense, like, I'm not saying I don't want to be there, as in I don't want to be there, but it's like, sometimes I don't. But it's like, in the same sense, it's like, fuck, it's not that fucking exciting. And especially for me, it's like, okay, the show's on, I'm going to go just sit in the corner and message my wife, or, you know what I mean? Or go do something if I need to shoot a promo, or whatever it may be, or just watch out the side of the corner. I'm not going up to people going, hey man, see how many marks are in the audience tonight. Oh, like, no, it's nothing like that. It's no, oh man, like blah blah. And you leave people the fuck alone, and after they've done their thing, they may come and have a chat to you. You'll go up if you're friends with them, have a chat. But most part, it's not overly exciting. It's not like we're cracking bottles backstage and having some sort of wild fucking time back there. No. Eating tuna and rice and shit.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, the locker room smells like fucking tuna. There's plenty of that. But even, once again, I think for me, it goes back to that respect thing too. So it is a sacred place. There's not many sacred places for wrestlers to be. So I think that's a big one. And one thing, we were talking about this before as well, one thing I fucking hate with wrestling and wrestlers is if they've been on their show, they've had their match, and then they go out into the crowd. That is the dumbest fucking shit that I like. If I had my own fed and someone was doing that, I'd be like, get the fuck out of my fed. Like,
dude, I saw that at a show last week, and I talked about it on my Live Thursday podcast, and it was like a wrestler went out into the crowd, into the main event, mind you, and just was drawing attention to themselves. Like they had their wrestling tights on and a hoodie on over the top of it. But it's like, fuck, and mind you, this show wasn't drawing like a massive crowd either. So it was like, that's what I'm saying. It makes even more attention drawn to that fucking person.
Yeah.
And I'm standing at the curtain waiting for my time to go do my thing, whatever they needed. And I'm like, I'm seeing this. I'm like, I'm just like, fuck, like why? Like you're taking away from someone else. And like, it's not about you. This time is not yours. And there's a saying where it's like, wrestling is for everybody. And I agree, wrestling is for everybody. But not everybody should be involved.
100%. I totally agree. I 100% agree with that statement. Also, from a fan's perspective, if they're like, say what you want about us, but people look up to some wrestlers, right? As in, it's like, holy shit, that guy's a bit larger than life, right?
Mm.
Or they've just been in a storyline where it's like full of drama, whatever the fuck it is. But even this larger than life aspect, then if you're out, like you've had your match, and then you're out watching the show, sitting in the crowd like a normal fucking patron, that just disappears. You're just another schmuck's not the right word, but you're just another person sitting in the crowd, right? It is the dumbest shit. I've seen it on a couple of shows. I'm like, why the fuck are you in the crowd? Why are you watching the show? Like, if you're gonna watch a show, go backstage and watch it. And if there's no live feed, suck it up and watch it later on YouTube or whatever the fuck you're recording it on.
Exactly.
So, stay out of the fucking crowd. You're one of the entertainers. It'd be like fucking, I don't know. you're watching a drama and the person's finished their scene and then they come out and sit right next to you to watch the rest of the play. It's just,
Yeah.
it makes no sense. No fucking sense.
Well,
So,
I think that's where it is, where we're at this generation of people that just, wrestling used to have like these unwritten rules and stuff like that. And if you fucking fucked up and you went against these rules, you cop an ass whooping, you get a beating. And it's like
back in the
now,
day, you'd just get cut off too. Like back in the day, like fuck, if it wouldn't be written. So, it used to even come down to how you shook hands back in the day. So, if you shook hands the wrong way, this is old school, right?
yeah,
You were considered a stiff worker. So you used to give a real limp handshake back in the old days, right? So,
I still do it. I still do that at
yeah,
shows.
right. Yep.
I still do
Yeah,
it
for sure.
because I got told that going in. This is
Yep.
from Angel and guys like that. When you
Yeah.
go in, they know as a man you want to do a firm grip handshake. You forget. I thought they were ribbing me.
Yeah. It's
I
weird.
thought they were ribbing me.
Mate,
I thought it was like this is such a rib. I'm like, this
yeah.
is such a fucking work, right? But then it's like, all right, I figured it out, and I'm like, okay, cool. And now when someone goes at a show and shakes my hand firmly, I'm like, oh, like, you know what I mean? Like it throws me.
Yeah. And it's like you said, totally. So it's meant to be that you're safe to work with, right? Like that was the
Yeah,
whole
like
idea of
I'll look after you.
yeah, there's the soft handshake. You're not a stiff worker. That was the mentality behind it. But that once again, that was an unwritten rule. No one's got that written anywhere. It's just that was the thing, like the going up and say good day to everyone and making sure that you talk to the people or go up and greet the people that were there before you. And if you don't know someone that is a wrestler, you introduce yourself. This sort of stuff. So I just feel that it's not gone, but some of it, and look, some of it's for the better. So some of it was just fucking stupid and just
Oh,
antisocial shit. So, but once again, we're just local wrestlers doing a show. There is a level of respect there that I think needs to happen, and especially if you're new, just learn what the fuck is going on and talk to someone about it. If you're new and you're coming into a thing and you're starting to either get on shows or you're at that point where you're helping in shows, just say, hey, look, just to one of the people that you can trust or or whatever, like what should I do backstage or whatever. If the person that you're talking to is worth a pinch of shit, they'll say just go up and shake everyone's hand, make sure you say good day to everyone, stay out of people's way when it's doing whatever. Like just make sure you give people space, respect their place and whatnot. Don't be a mark. So don't come up and go, oh fuck, you're the best, fucking whatever. Don't do any of that shit. Just go introduce yourself, be nice, be humble, help out where you can, and you'll go fucking far.
well, I had a conversation with a guy who's based in Perth that I know, a friend of mine, really nice guy, podcaster. I think the world of this guy. And he was like, oh, I want to get into the business. I want to be a booker. And, these people won't give me an opportunity. I was like, well, mate, you have to understand. It's like the places that you're going, these people have been doing this for 15, 20 years.
Yeah.
You have never worked in the business and you're
Yep.
going to them saying, hey, I'd like to be your booker. Make me your booker. Like, no, it doesn't work that way. And I said, if you want to get in, this is how you do it. You just go up to them. Hey man, can I help out with ring crew? Can I help set up the ring? Can I help tear down the ring? Hey, can I learn how to be a ref? Then if you
Yep.
learn how to be a ref, you're going to be more heavily used than if you, whatever reason, you're going to be on more matches. You're going to be on more shows. If you're a good ref, you'll get a lot of more opportunities because I don't think there's many good refs out there. I think there's a select few here in Australia, but like, if you can do that, then you build relationship. You're there. People's going, oh, okay, cool. This person isn't a mark. They're cool. They're here to help out. Okay, then, then you can sort of, once you build yourself up to a certain level of relationship with people, hey, I had this idea.
Yeah,
You know what I mean? But you
absolutely.
have to be able to know how to read that situation and then be able to deliver it in a way where it's not like, hey, man, I think I can do this shit better. It's like, hey, that angle that you did? What if you did something like this? Or you have that relationship. You go out for a feed after the show with the crew and you spitball and shit, and they're going to listen. Yeah, hear, oh shit, okay, this guy actually has something.
Yeah,
But you have to do certain things to get there. And the person's like, but I just want to be a booker. I'm like, no one just walks into the business and someone goes, here's the book, kid. Like, it doesn't happen.
You need to understand wrestling psychology, and there's plenty of heads that don't. And But if you don't have an understanding of psychology, even match structure, where people are on a card, what sort of match you do here, there, and wherever, it's not as easy as just going and go, hey, I've got a wicked storyline. This is what I want to do. You've also got to think about, it is like a play, right? Like if you do this to this character, where does this character go after this story is finished, and how do we you do this in wrestling, right? Like, so you'll go up, you win a title, then you go straight back down again, and then you got to slowly work your way back up, or something might happen and bloody it changes, all this sort of stuff. So, the one thing that Chris Basso taught me when we were doing booking was that always think of where it leads after the event has happened. So, what happens to that character after the end of whatever's going on, and how does that action affect other characters around that as well? So it's always about and that's why he said to me as well, never pitch an idea to me where it's just involving you. It needs to involve other characters, and I could say, hey, I just come in, I win the belt, and I'm the champion for the next 20 years. And he's like, well, how do you get there? If you do this to that character, how does that affect their character? All this sort of stuff. So it's more than just one blinkers on. This is the journey. So there's so much more around it. So if it's being done properly, I think so. Yeah,
but like I said, I feel as I said, and I don't want to keep repeating myself. I feel like there's just too many like fans that are in the business, and a lot of time people are doing just self-serving shit. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
Like there's a lot of self-serving shit. Not just I think even in the main product when you see stuff like I saw a ladder match a while back, and I can't remember who the performer was. It was on NXT or some WWE thing. This guy in a ladder match climbs the ladder, gets to the top. What's the premise of a ladder match? What's the whole thing to achieve in the ladder match?
To grab the briefcase or belt or whatever. Yep.
Right?
Yep.
This wrestler climbs up the top. The belt is swinging like that, literally near their head, and they go,
"Yep." Do a
and
fucking
I'm like,
move.
not even that, just doing a fucking pose.
Oh, right.
Then waiting for the next spot. I'm like,
yep.
At least fucking be like climbing the ladder, sell it, be like, oh, like I want
to. Yeah.
That's just fucking stupid.
Ladder climbing fucking kills me in ladder matches. Like, you're either fucking too tired that you can't climb a rung and it takes you 45 minutes to climb a ladder, or the next minute the person that wins climbs the ladder in 2 seconds, and it's like, fuck, like it just. Or you're like 2 minutes into a match and someone's like really struggling to fucking climb a ladder. Like, I was like, Jesus Christ, just climb. The person that should be cutting you off should be ring aware enough for it to happen. If not, fucking fall off yourself. I don't know. But it gives the game away real quick.
But even in the indie wrestling side of things, right? How many times do you see a wrestler who's 6'4" bumping their ass off for someone who's 5'1"?
I had to learn that, right? I'm 6'6",
yeah.
So I had to learn that. Because all I'd ever watched was bloody WWE and stuff like that. But I'm 6'6". I don't feel 6'6". So, and I know that I'm tall, but back then I didn't understand how tall it really was, if that makes any sense. So my first match, I took a German suplex and a hip toss and all this sort of shit. I came back and I didn't get chewed out because I was wrestling a vet who should have known better. But he's the one that he's like, why the fuck are you giving him a German? Like, why it was
because he wanted to get over being a big, strong fucking guy.
Yeah, absolutely. Which is, fine. That was my, I was a complete rookie. I didn't understand it. But even just learning that psychology, right? Like, it's like, well, hang on. What are you selling here? What are you selling? So, and all it did was it diminishes me and it makes him look, not
silly.
even that much bigger. Like, it's all a bit silly, right? So,
but I feel like that's the thing where we see with intergender wrestling, as like people go, oh, but Rey Mysterio can do it. Yeah, I agree. Intergender wrestling, smaller wrestler wrestling a bigger person, 100% get it. It can happen. It can be believable and stuff. But Undertaker wrestling Rey Mysterio, Undertaker's not going to be taking the fucking Canadian Destroyer. Well, I'm talking about like people say intergender wrestling. They say, well, they compare it to saying it's not believable, but then they say, well, Rey Mysterio wrestling a bigger person.
Gotcha. Yep.
Well, you're not going to see Undertaker taking a Canadian Destroyer or stuff like that. He may take a 6'1". Like, perfect example, Undertaker wrestled Jeff Hardy.
Yep.
Like, it was, he didn't take, they worked that match perfectly and it was phenomenal. in a ladder match type of setting, because it was like he didn't take anything ridiculous. It made sense, and everything they did make sense. Where I think that's where now with indie wrestling, they have the same thing with an intergender match. You see a 5'4" girl wrestling a 6'6" guy, and they're fucking suplexing him and moving them all over the round, because it's like, oh, we have to do that because it's equality, but it's still professional wrestling. You've just taken the believability out of it. And I would say that if it was like, I don't know, a Paris de Silva here in Sydney doing that to, I don't know, like Caveman Ugg, I'd be like, what the fuck? You know what I mean? Like, you've taken the believability out of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Look, there's way of building stuff like that too. There's ways of building it properly and making it like you put some realism in it, but things can be built if once again, psychology, if it's built right, you can make things. We got Delta, who is our grand champion of RCW. She's given F5s to massive dudes, like, so she is a legit tank.
She's believable.
Absolutely.
Right?
Fuck yeah.
I think
and like
Delta could beat the shit out of me in a shoot. Like I would, but you know what I mean? I'd admit that, like, you know what I mean? But if she went and wrestled Brock Lesnar, I'm going to be a little bit skeptical on that. You know what I mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know, it's booking to their strengths.
Yeah, 100%, 100%. So, like, Delta's an exception to the rule. Like, she's a bloody absolute gun. But yeah, I know exactly what you're saying, right? So, but yeah, no, I agree.
Man, wrestling, it's a fucking interesting world, right?
It's very interesting, and I think once again, because it's not regulated, like, fuck, there's some feds out there that, and I don't like. I get you want to be wrestlers, I fully understand, but fuck me, like, you're doing harm to what we're like the not the proper wrestlers, but what wrestling is trying to achieve. So it's. I said this on your podcast last time. If you are looking to go to train to be a wrestler, go to a fed where there's someone that's established. You've got in each state there's good feds. Every state there's good feds, and if you can't wrestle on those feds, go learn your craft or just train for longer. Some people go to these shit feds because they know that they're going to either get on a show in a week, or I've seen it here in SA where it's people, oh no, come down, we'll give you the belt. So you've got wrestlers coming down to wrestle that aren't good enough to get on our shows, but will go and get a belt on a shit show because they want some more talent through their roster. So it's just a weird situation and just enticing for the wrong reasons. And once again, it doesn't help wrestling. It doesn't help. Once again, you get someone coming to a show. Our whole job is to try and get more bums in seats, right? Our job is to get the bloke that has never seen wrestling before to come in, have a look, and go, holy fuck, I want to come back. That's our job. That's it. We just need to try and grow this beast that is Australian wrestling.
100%, dude. I was offered from one promoter. I won't say the name, but like they offered me. He says like, mate, you want to come in and have a match? I'll put the belt on you.
Yeah.
I'm like, no.
Yeah.
Oh, why not, mate? Well, I'm 40 and yeah, like I know my place in this business, and that ain't it. You know what I mean? Like,
100%.
But there's a lot of people that would sit there and just go, whoa, like, I'll fucking do that.
It's that ego stroke, right? So, and once again, as a wrestler, you got to have some ego in you. So, and if people are stroking that ego, people are like, holy shit, I could be a champion. I'm going to go do it. So you're not giving me the chance over here, fucking awesome fed. I'm going to go to this shit one and be their champ. So it's just like, oh mate, like, are you really doing anything? We had this discussion with I had this discussion with Adrian. We were talking about when we were choosing Aussie wrestlers to do the World Series stuff. There's a couple of wrestlers were questionable whether we put them on because they'd started wrestling for shit feds. So it was like, so I'm not saying where you wrestle matters. Well, I am saying where you wrestle matters. Where you wrestle matters. It's not the be all and end all, but where you wrestle does matter.
Of course. And I feel like there should be that standard as well. But I also feel, and I don't know if you see it in SA, but like you see some talents that do wrestle for like a premium fed, like on their night that they're not booked, they'll go to a one of these feds that might not be as good as where they wrestle, and they go and shit on it. And I'm like, like, is your life that fucking sad, bro? Like that your night off from wrestling, like you want to go to another show, pay money for an entry ticket to go there to go and shit on it?
Yeah, that's
Cool, bro. Like you're fucking
well done.
living the dream. Like, well
Yep,
done.
yep. I'm all about helping others and trying to grow what we're doing. But as we are talking before, I think you've got some fans that are running feds, literally just fans and doing shit that ECW used to do in the 90s and still thinking it's cool. And I'm not saying that it's not cool, but fuck with yeah, wrestling's evolving like this and you're still down here doing what was happening fucking 20 years ago. You're not growing with the sport. So even just, we're talking about the culture evolving. Wrestling itself is evolving. Yeah, okay, we do this. The principles are the same, but it's an evolving beast. So, I mean, look at WWE wrestlers now. They're all bloody on Twitter and everyone knows their personal life and all this sort of shit. Back in the day, fuck. They used to catch separate planes because the heels would be on one thing. The heels and faces never drove together, all that sort of shit. So that's
I always look at it when I saw something. I think it was what's her name? Alexa Bliss. Like she was in that storyline with Bray Wyatt, and it was one of the hottest things on. It was probably the hottest thing on WWE television at the time.
Yep.
And then she's sitting there like, oh no, my pet pig died, and posting a video. And I'm sitting there and like Ben Hameen, who's over in America, who's a very well-known booker, performer, and renowned podcaster. He commented on it and he goes, if I was running WWE, $10,000 fine to you. And she blocked him.
Oh, really?
She knew it. She knows him, but she blocked him. He's like, yeah, he goes, that's what it should be. He goes, you just fucking killed the whole fucking premise of the gimmick. And
it's that blur between once again, it's an evolution. It's that blur between real life and storytelling. Essentially, that's what wrestling is. We're telling stories. And it's either one or the other, right? I think it's either open it up, you play a character, and your character's name is like, we don't go around calling Paul Hogan Crocodile Dundee to his face. He's Paul Hogan, right? So he's the actor, Paul Hogan's the actor, and Crocodile Dundee is the or Mick, whatever, Mick Dundee is the gimmick. That's the. I don't know if wrestling will ever get to that stage because we've got that. It's still real to me, damn it, stuff. But I think wrestling may be better and the culture may be better if we took some of that out of it. So, and it was, hey, this is bloody Demi Bennett. She is Rhea Ripley. So, that sort of stuff. And I know some of this because I've seen it with Rhea and talked to her about some shit. But just it's the realism factor of some of the fans is a bit too. And you've seen it on her Twitter where she bites back at them. It's like, grow the fuck up. Like, what are you doing? Don't meet me at an airport and wait for me to sign your shit or whatever the fuck it is. So
that's creepy as fuck, though. That's creepy as fuck.
Oh, there's plenty of creeps.
That shit, right?
Yeah. Sorry, man.
No, you're right. It's really creepy how they do it. But even then, like, there's a lot of wrestlers, out there that it's like, I mean, like, if you call them by their personal name, it's like, I don't know you. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like that's the thing.
Yep.
And I feel like unless you're, and unless you're in the business and someone introduces you as, hey, I'm such and such. That's, what I mean? Like, that's what I call people by. I go, if I don't know someone, hey man, I'm Piers, shake their hand.
I call most people by their work name while I'm at wrestling. I'm just saying maybe the evolution will one day get to that point where it is like they are like actors. I think it'd be better for the wrestlers if it was, because some people take this shit way too far. So, but look, I suppose you get fucking weirdos and everything, right? But there just seems to be a ton of them in wrestling.
But it's a fan base like no other, though, right?
Oh, it is legitimately like no other. There's nothing like it.
Maybe Star Wars.
maybe. But they know that Mark Hamill's Luke Skywalker. They know that it's actor doing a job, right? Like it's not fucking CM Punk is CM Punk in real life,
Oh, it's really talking about Star Wars, man. I was with my family today. We went to the shops and my son wanted to go into like this hobby collectible shop or whatever. And I walked past and they had like lightsabers for sale.
Oh, yeah.
And, bro, they were like $500. And like
Fuck.
this kid behind the counter, I'm like, for $500, that better be a real motherfucking lightsaber.
No shit. You wanted to bloody.
And they're like,
You
no,
want
but
to be able to do. Yeah, right.
I
You
was
want
like,
to be able to do like real life Fruit Ninja or something. So just.
I was bopping if he could. I'd be like, shit, give me two.
Yeah, no shit. No shit.
It was just like, wow,
sensational.
crazy. But it is, man. Wrestling fans have this, I think, this unrealistic thing is like, especially like when I've done shows and they come out and they like, after the show, they try and talk to me like I'm actually like a character. Oh, you're a really mean guy. Like, yeah, you shouldn't have done that. And I'm just like, yeah, totally. You know what I mean? Like, there's part of me going, well, if you really want to, you want to play and you want me to be in gimmick, okay, well, I'll tell you to fuck off because that's what someone in my gimmick or my character and what we would do would say to someone like you is fuck off. Like, I'm not.
Yeah, for sure. We used to do so in Riot City. Like we, I don't know if we still do it. Like none of the heels go out and sign stuff. So heels stay backstage. Faces go out and talk to the crowd and all that sort of stuff. So we keep some of that alive, which I think is good. It just keeps, once again, it's real tough when I know it's, once again, it's an act and it's script. I'm probably contradicting myself a little bit here, but you go out and you see a guy just kick someone in the face and spit on him, and then he's coming out later and he's hugging babies and kissing grandmas or whatever. I think it takes a little bit away, especially if you're trying to tell a story to get shit over for people to come for the next show. So storytelling, it's everything. It's everything.
Man, I've seen this guy that wrestles here in Sydney, and he's from Chile, and his name's Max. His gimmick is Max Ramirez, the Chilean shooter.
Right.
And someone sent me this. Someone sent me this clip of him, and he was at this show, and it was a small show as well. But this kid's impressive, like good body, looks like a bad motherfucker. And like he's standing there, and this clip I seen, this kid is sitting there crying. And he's like, sees the camera, he goes, you see, this is what I do. I make kids cry. He goes, I'm not saying sorry to you. Get out. And he looks at the dad. You take your kid and not fuck off, but you know what I mean?
Perfect. I love that.
And this kid's like fucking beside himself. And the dad's sitting there going like, yeah, like the dad obviously, okay.
Knows it's a work. Like, yeah.
Well, I'm sitting there going, man, if that was my kid and he made my kid cry, I'd be like, bro, I would tell him, go straight for my kid, say this shit.
Yeah.
But he didn't hesitate. Like there was,
that's
you know what I
so
mean?
good.
Where, like someone would see a kid cry and be like, oh, it's okay. Like, no, I'm not, I'm actually a nice guy. He was like, fuck that. And when I finally met this bloke, I walked up to him. I was like, hey, man, like, nice to meet you. I said, man, I really enjoy your work. Like, it's great to see. And he's like, oh, he's very humble. Like, thank you, man. Like, and I go, and then I looked at him and he goes, you see that, man? I make kids fucking cry. And he's like, pop. He's like, oh, man. He goes, I thought I was going to get so much heat for that. I go, no. I go, you fucking, bro, you keep going hard. If my kid's in the audience, I'm going to tell you fucking make my little motherfucker cry, bro. No, bro. I said, then I'll invite you to dinner at my house and just really freak my kid
a tag team, right? City Wrestling Born and Bred tag team that live that gimmick like almost a bit too much is the Pariah. They're exactly the same. They those guys will even if they do meet the crowd after, they'll tell them to fuck off or that they're too good for them and all this sort of stuff. Like they live it 100%. It's weird. I was a bit like, but backstage when I'm like, where actual wrestlers are talking, they're fucking nice as pie. But I in some cases I'm like, oh shit, lads, you might be taking this a bit too far. But in saying that, look at them, look where they are. Like they're fucking killing it. So they're doing something right. They're doing something right.
100%. And I feel like that's if you can blur that line of reality and fiction, and you can do that, it's like I've had like fans go, oh, I don't like that wrestler because he's mean. I'm like, he's a fucking heel.
Doing his job.
So you went up to him after a show and he told you to fuck off. Okay, well, it's not exactly the nicest thing to fucking do, but if you're in, you know what I mean? If you're that committed to your craft and you're that committed to what you're putting out there and portraying, fuck, like I would never hate on someone for doing that. I wish I could do it. I feel like I'm
Yeah, I'm the same. I can't do it. I
well,
can't.
dude, like yes, I'm a heel at certain places, but because of the podcast as well, there's like
Yeah, for sure.
certain things that I feel like my thing, I can do it, but I'll be like, someone go, hey, can I get a photo? I'll be like, yeah, all right.
Yeah. Yep.
You know what I mean? Or I'll be like,
yeah.
fuck. Yeah.
Yeah.
Where it's like that sort of tongue in cheek sort of shit.
Yes.
But
Yes. Yeah. Yep. You're still
yeah,
doing the
like,
gimmick.
yeah.
But hey, look, it works both ways in regards to sometimes if that is coming and they're in a good storyline where it's like they're beating up a face or whatever, these people might come back next week to watch this arsehole get his head kicked in. So that sort of stuff too, right? Like there's a bit of that as well. So there's a lot of layers with wrestling, and I think it's different to everything else. I don't think there's anything else like it where there is that blur. There's that. Look at any wrestler's page. They might put up a photo with their girlfriend or something, and let's take fucking Rhea Ripley. She'll do something with Matt, and then it's like, oh, what will Dom think of this? You're like, and I don't know if they're serious or they're just being fans or whatnot. But it's just like there's plenty of that. That's not just one comment. That'll be lots of comments in the thing, or like mummy's cheating on Dom or whatever. And it's just like, wow, like this is real life to some people.
But you know what? Like I feel like that's good in a certain way that they're able to portray that and have people worked because that again, the nature of the business is to what? Work the audience.
Yep.
Right.
Yep.
So if you can work them to they believe that Dominic Mysterio and Rhea Ripley, the characters, are actually in this romantic relationship, even though there's been no, you know what I mean? It's not like you see them making out on camera or like having physical, you know what I mean? It's just like it's kind of this weird pseudo sexual relationship. Like he's calling her mummy. Like that's that's kind of a weird fucking thing, right? Like to call her mummy or daddy. Like I think that's weird, but
so do I.
No, like if my wife turned around and was like, "Yes, daddy," I'd be like, "What the fuck is wrong with you?" Shut the fuck. I don't know. Maybe we're just old, but
I was gonna say, are you calling me old? Like, what's the fuck?
Dude, if you can work your audience into that, and I feel like that's the thing where I come. My thing is like, okay, cool, go be a fan, go be that heavily invested, because if you're going to spend the money, you can fucking do whatever you want. Exactly, bums in seats.
Bums in
but
seats.
The whole thing is like, how much of it do we really let the audience in?
Yeah, and that's why, like I was saying before about that evolution, I think that's changing. There's shoot interviews from everyone and everything and everyone. So, the business is fully exposed now, and I just wonder whether we'll get to that point where it's like, okay, this person is playing this character. We might not, but who knows? If it feels it's going more and more that way. So,
but if you can make someone escape reality with wrestling, and I think that's the thing. Like if I can sit down and watch a match, and I've done it where I've had to review a certain show, right, for someone's podcast that they've asked me to do, and I'll sit down, and I've found myself like, obviously around the business, day in almost, or on a weekly basis, and I'm sitting there and I'll go, okay. And sometimes I'll find myself going, oh shit, I got lost in the moment. They were actually that good at what they were doing that I could get lost in it and be a fan again of it. Not to call myself a marker in it, but you know what I mean? Like
you're allowed to be a fan, right? Like you're allowed to.
I can enjoy this. I can sit there where it's I mean, because it's like if you just shitting on it all the time, this is fucking whatever. You just want it's miserable, right? But
I think that's
you can disconnect.
Go.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Connect to being and go, okay, this has taken me out of my element of going, I'm now not lost in it, but I'm now transfixed in what is happening in front of me and what I'm watching.
And I find that on commentary, right? There's moments where I'm like, I'm absorbed. I'm in the story. I'm an ex fucking wrestler. I know what it's all about. But I'm in it. Like it's fucking exciting for me. Like that's brilliant. I love getting lost in those moments. I still love watching wrestling, but I just don't do it as much as what I used to. But it having the chance to go on commentary and sort of bring some of that back for me has been really good.
I love getting work. I love it when I get worked.
Yeah, same.
I remember some storyline. I think it was with Carter Deems a year or so ago, And like I was watching this thing unfold, and then when I spoke to him, I was like, "You motherfucker!" I go, "You fucking worked the shit out of me." He's like, "Really?" I'm like, "Bro, I was like fucking hook, line, and fucking sinker, like completely fucking worked in this whole." And he's like, "Oh fuck, thanks, man." You know what I mean? Like he was just, "Oh wow, cool." You know what I mean? Someone in it doing what, well, not doing what we do, but someone involved has gone, "Shit." You know what I mean? You got me.
And on commentary, we do the same thing. We're like, unless we absolutely have to, we don't like knowing who wins, who's going to win or who's going to lose, or what a finish is going to be. So we like calling it as we sort of as it happens. So and I find that to be the best. So it's good because I like our reactions are pretty real, I think. So yeah, it's good fun. I really enjoy that. I enjoy that.
Oh, 100%, man. But we've been going for an hour and 30 minutes, man. That's
God,
wild. I think it's because we took so long in between the two. But I think, like, man, I want to bring you on our live Thursday podcast where that's just some fucking unhinged shit. And I think that would, like, I think you would fit in well with the boys. And I think that would be a great sort of episode. But we'll talk about that offline, man. But where can everyone find you on social media? Where can everyone get behind your TikTok celebrity status now and support you, man?
Yeah, for sure. Fit after 40 on TikTok. So if you want to see me on there, but Big Brodie Marshall on Instagram. I'm not on anything else. I think I've still got a Facebook thing, but I never use it. But yeah, just on Instagram. So it's I'm pretty open and accessible. If anyone wants to have a chat, have a chat. So yeah, that's it.
Perfect, man. Also, guys, if you want to have your beard looking as spot on and as on point as mine, head over to Jericho, Australia, and go and check out. They've got all your beard care products covered, from beard oils, beard butters, balms, shampoo, conditioners, brushes, all of that stuff. Use promo code True Story, TRUESTORY, and get 15% off every single order. These guys are veteran owned, Australian owned business, and they are here to take care of you and your beard. So get amongst it, motherfuckers. But until next time, man, this has been Brodie Marshall. I am the truth, Piers Austin. Until next time, we'll see you again very soon. Take care. All the best. Mwah. Peace out, you bitch ass motherfuckers.